Hi guys, it's Dakota. Hope everybody had a great week. Alright, I want to get right into this video because I have a lot of things I want to show you and talk about. So I hope I don't get carried away and get sidetracked too much. So last week I talked about shadow work, and I had a lot of requests for more information about shadow work. So what I did was I started going through my journals and stuff and my notes and looking up different things about shadow work to figure out exactly what it was that I could talk to you about more, like getting into shadow work. And what happened was I did get sidetracked. So this video is not about shadow work. I am working on it because, you know, with shadow work, everybody's different. So I'm really not sure if I could give a class or even explain shadow work properly here, because there's no ABCD of how you do shadow work. It's different for everybody. So I'm going to work on it. I'm going to meditate on it, and I'm going to work on it and kind of get into it a little bit more with myself to see how I can go about sharing more information with you about it, because I would love to. I think it's very, very healing and it's very helpful. So, but what happened was it got me sidetracked. And in my journals, I was talking about releasing during shadow work. And that is true. I mean, shadow work requires us to release some things that don't serve our highest good. When we release things that, you know, that aren't good for us, that are holding us back, that are just keeping us stagnant, keeping us from moving forward, those things have to be released if we want to move forward, if we want to grow. And so then we do have to do releasing work as well, which is part of shadow work. It's part of it. And so I had lots of notes about snakeskin and things like that. So I thought, well, you know, let me show you guys some snakeskin. Here in North Carolina, in eastern North Carolina, and don't forget I live in the woods, I have a plethora of snakes, and I have lots of snakeskin that I find in the woods. I find it in my garden where they've, you know, crawled through the branches trying to rid themselves of their skin. I have found them in we have some outbuildings, our sheds, and I have found where the snake has shed his skin in my shed, and so I collected, and so right here is, now this bowl right here is, this is all broken up snake skin. And so it's, in other words, it's not like a full, you know, it's not a full snake skin. It's just pieces of his skin. And that was fine, and that's okay, because what I do with the snake skin, well, I do lots of things with it. Sometimes I might write out a petition or an intention, and then I might take one of the stringy parts of the skin. Of course, I can't find one now. So I might take a little stringy part and carefully, you know, wrap it around the petition, or I will just take it with the petition. Sometimes I burn them, sometimes I bury them. If it's paper, if it's recyclable, then I will bury it, and I'll bury the snake skin with it. And that snake skin, what it does for me is it releases is part of the releasing. So a snake sheds its skin so that it can grow, and it's sort of that death and rebirth thing. And so if I am working on something that I'm trying to get rid of, something that doesn't serve my highest good, something that I need to let go of and release, then I will use snake skin with that. And either I will burn it with my petition, or I will bury it back into the earth. Sometimes I will put it in my magical pouch. This is my magical I don't care what you call it, medicine bag, gree bag, mojo bag, whatever you would like to call it, has a piece of amethyst and a little crow and, of course, the pentacle on it. And so in this, like right now, this pouch has stuff in it. So it's been in there for a while. The magic is done. And so now I'm going to probably tonight, I meant to do it last night. I think last night was a full moon actually, but 3 days out, 3 days in. I couldn't do it last night, so I think tonight I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open this up tonight in Sacred Space and go ahead and dispose of what's in here properly. And I don't know what that will be right now because I get my messages while I am in my little ritual. So it will either be, I will either bury it, I might possibly throw it in the garden, throw it out in the woods, put it in the creek, wherever I feel responsibly it should go. I doubt I think there's some stones in here. I can feel them. So the stones might get buried. I might throw them in the creek, which I like to do. Whoever buys this house, whenever we're gone, if they ever go digging around in that creek, they're going to find some things, let me tell you. And so I'll dispose of them the way that Spirit guides me. The pouch I wear, but I only wear the pouch. Now, I will still make a pouch at times, but I just leave it on the altar. But there are times that I wear the pouch when I feel like I need to carry the magic with me, when I need to have it close to me, because not everything do I feel that way. So it just depends on what's happening with me. If I feel that I need my magic close, then I wear it. If I don't, I make it and I place it on my magical altar and let it do its thing right there. So there could possibly be snakeskin in there as well, depending on what the intention was for. All right, the other thing, now I did not make this one. I do make these, and I make something a little bit similar to these, but I actually got this one from a friend of mine, and this is a little special, lighting it in here is terrible, is a little shadow box that I wear occasionally, and in it, that was so far. So it has right here, you can see the snake. Let me see, pull my black shirt over. Has snake skin in it. This white thing down here, if you can see it, that is it's called cat bone. It's actually just it's a root. The sun's coming in, that's why it's really, really bright now, of course, when I didn't want it to be. Oh, there we go. This is Spanish moss on the back side. Also, I think it has, I think there's mandrake, and I want to say there might be belladonna in here. I'm not quite sure. But also, if you can see, oh gosh, there's a little, if you can see right here, there's a little piece of bat ear, and humanely gotten. I know this person, and this person would never take anything out of harm, to harm anything. So either it was found or purchased through a reliable source. But that is a protection amulet, and let me rephrase that. I honestly don't know. I said it's a protection amulet, but I think when she had those up on her site, I was just drawn to it for no particular reason other than there was just something about it that called me, and so I purchased it from her. And so I don't really remember if there even was an intention, excuse me, behind it. Doesn't matter. I love it. And I do wear that. The other thing, when we were talking about snakes and shedding, I wanted to show you this. It's really, really fragile. I have to be really careful with it. So, gosh, how can I show you this? Okay, come here, you. Oh, here we go. Good. All right. This is any ugly. This is a cicada shell, and so cicadas, and it's a full shell. It's the full shell. It's real fragile. They're real crunchy, so you have to be careful. In fact, when I picked him up earlier to bring him in here, one of his little legs fell off. It broke off because they're real fragile. But the cicadas come up, I want to say it's once every 13 years. They come up from the dirt. They live underground, and they come up, and I believe they come up to mate. And they're only out for, I don't know, maybe a week, a few days. I don't even know. I should probably look that up. But oh, they make this squeal, this horrible, really loud noise. If you live in the woods, you hear them all the time. And but they shed their skin, and when they climb, when they come out of the dirt, they climb the tree trunks. And so there are times we can go out to the woods and you'll find cicada shells on the tree trunks or at the base of the tree. So that would be some place to look if you're out hiking around in the woods. Just look, and you know, if you see a shell, leave an offering, say thanks, gratitude, and now you have a cicada shell, which also helps in the releasing process, because you know that is what they do. They release their shell, so those things don't serve them anymore, so they don't hang on to them. I had some lizard skins, and I don't have them anymore. I think those have been used. I don't have them anymore. All right, the other thing that I have that I'm going to show you, and this is a Japanese beetle. I'm not going to take him out of the bottle because he's long and his legs kind of got stuck in there. But you can see he's fairly large, right? He's a Japanese beetle. He's really, really beautiful. If you saw his shell, he looks like a peacock. The coloring on his back. He's really, really a beautiful thing. I just found him just on the grass, dead, just like this, preserved. And so of course I brought him in. I put him in the jar. He actually stays in my herb cabinet. I've never used him for any magical purposes. I've never felt a calling to do that. But I looked up the Japanese beetle, and beetles are very hard-working insects. They are really persistent, and they represent progress, creativity, intuition, when we're talking magical. But the beetle itself is very persistent, and it's said that beetles they walk a path, like they make a path, and they walk that path many different times, all different times, and all different ways. And so the message in that was that we need to persevere as well. And that, you know, we need to make, sometimes in our lives, we need to make a new path to create a new life. And so the beetle shows us that. That's what he does. He shows us that. The other thing that the beetle does is strength. He shows us strength. And I put on here that we don't like some of our fear is based on looking at something. Now, if he flew on me, I'd probably scream. if the cicada flew on me, I'd probably scream even louder because it's what we see that we're afraid of. I mean, you know, it's like, and maybe that's my fear of spiders. I think they're horrid, and I just have huge arachnophobia. I don't have spiders for magical purposes. Don't anyone bring me one either. But I put in here that we don't like the looks of the beetle, or we look upon the beetle with a type of fear. And the fear that we feel for that beetle, not knowing anything about the beetle, is similar to the fear that we hold on to when things get difficult. So have you ever noticed that? Like when things get difficult, instead of letting go, instead of just breathing, instead of saying, you know, this just isn't serving my highest good right now. I just need to let it go. I need to find a strength. I need to persevere and find strength in something. I need to not be afraid to walk away from this difficult time. I just had a huge counsel with a customer the other day about this very thing. Sometimes we get used to our uncomfortableness or our unhappiness or our stress, things that, you know, if you're in some kind of a relationship, whether it's family, friend, significant other, whatever, and it's difficult and it doesn't make you feel good, we stay in it because the fear of walking away from it, that unknown, is more frightening than what we're in right now. What we're in right now is a comfortable fear. I know it sounds weird, but that's what that is. It's like a comfortable fear. You don't like it, but you're more afraid to leave it because the beetle, if you grab it, maybe it will bite you. You know, we don't know what that beetle's capable of, but we know if we stay, you know, if we stay away from it and that kind of thing, then, you know, we're just afraid of it. We're just afraid of it. So that's what it. So it's being afraid to even look at the beetle. It brings about this fear, and the fear is similar to the fear that we feel when we're up against difficult times. And the beetle really has this inner strength about it. So I was pretty impressed when I started looking up the beetle. There wasn't a whole lot of information, magical or spiritual kind of information about it. I'm sure Ted Andrews has some information on the beetles, which would be a little more in-depth, and I should probably look into that. So, okay, so the beetle right now, it just, I think he's pretty. So he just stays in my my cupboard, my herb cupboard, as a, you know, I don't know, an offering to the herbs, I guess. I don't know. All right, the other thing I have that is one of my, it's a favorite thing. I have two favorite things, and I'm really stingy with them. I'm stingy in using them because I don't have access to them. Or if I do, I don't know where they are. I've never seen them. So this is, I got to be careful because they are not friendly per se. Ow. So this is I call it a black locust needle or thorn. They're also called honey locusts. It's a tree. And I have got a jar of them. Okay, got this jar of them. And these things are fierce. And, oh my gosh, it's stuck. Get in there. Okay. These things are really, I mean, it's thick. You know, it's thick. And and dangerous. So the thing about it's called honey locust also, the honey locust tree. So the thing about those trees they are rot resistant. And so that makes them a very strong tree. Makes them very strong in energy. It's rot resistant. I got some notes here so that I wouldn't forget. So it is connected with strength. So the black locust is connected with strength, and it's connected with endurance, and it's connected with power. I use this for only a couple of things. I use it at Samhain, and not every Samhain, but that would be a time when I would use it. I would use it at Samhain, and I will use it at the winter solstice. And because it represents life, death, and a rebirth. Because the locust tree, the honey locust tree or black locust, it is, they're pretty invasive. And from what I've read, I don't have one here. My friend sent me those. She sent me a picture. She said, "Would you want these?" And I'm like, yes, send me all of them. And she's from Maryland, so that's where I got them. They cut down their tree. It was in their front yard, and they have children, so it didn't make sense. They're very, very dangerous. But the locust tree, it does have, it buds these really pretty little white flowers, which, by the way, are edible. Always make sure you check to make sure that that you could eat them. That they don't interfere with any kind of medications or any health conditions that you have. If you make a tea, it's not very good. It's very, very bitter. But you can eat them, put them in salad, chicken, things like that. Pretty good. And so I do use them at Samhain or for winter solstice, as it represents that life, death, and rebirth. Now, the interesting thing, like I said, about the tree is, excuse me, it blooms these really pretty white flowers, but it doesn't stay in bloom very long. And so for more part of the year than not, that doesn't make sense. It's skeletal. It's just arms and thorns instead of pretty leaves and flowers, from what I understand. So it is sort of that, for me, it just sort of represents that life and death and rebirth. And the fact that it's invasive means that, that rebirth, it continues and very fertile and very fertile. So, but the other thing that I like to use it for is I will break off one of the thorns, and I like to use the thorn to carve my candles with, draw your sigils with, whatever, and then I will burn the thorn with my candle flame. So it doesn't usually burn all the way, but it'll burn, and then I dispose of it properly, which is sadly, I do kind of break it up a little bit. I dig a little hole, I dig a fairly deep hole, and I put them in the hole and cover it up, because I'm barefoot a lot in the summer and I don't want to step on it. And the other thing that I have used it for, so don't freak out on me, but the other thing that I have used it for, you can use them for if you work with poppets at all. Now, I don't use my poppets for any kind of, baneful purposes. I use my poppets for healing. So I have actually used the black locust for, I have a torn rotator cuff, and it's been that way for like 4 years. I refuse to get it fixed. So, I can move my arm, but not very well and not quick. But it's survivable. But what I'll do is take the thorn, and like one thorn, and I maybe will rub some, maybe I'll make some healing oil and, infuse it with herbs, healing herbs and stuff like that, just soothing. And I'll rub and maybe even send Reiki into the thorn and, you know, rub it and just kind of infuse the healing energy into the thorn. And then take my poppet, which I don't have here, take my poppet that represents me, and then I will take the thorn and I will put it into I'm directing the energy, the healing energy, into the shoulder, better put that down, into the shoulder of the poppet. And really I'm just directing the healing energy and the Reiki energy, the universal energy, the energy of the tree into the shoulder of the poppet, so that it helps to heal my own personal shoulder. And you can use that for healing if you are a Reiki practitioner. You can do that if you make a poppet for somebody and they're having issues or whatever. If you're working, you can do each chakra as long as you are, you know, sending the healing into each of those chakras. So, you know, so it's a really good thing. And so those are some of my fun things. Oh, the other thing was the Hawthorne Needle. So if anybody has excess honey locust, black locust, or Hawthorne needles, I will take them. I love them. I use them a lot. And yeah, I'm like stingy with them because this is all I have left. This is all I have left, and I think my Hawthorne needles, I might have 2 left. I mean, boo, I use them. And so, yeah, I'll volunteer to take those off your hand for you if you want to send them to me. Pleading, I'm pleading. Anyway, that's what I have to share with you today. So those are just some of the things. Those are some of the things that I use consistently. Snakeskin, I use it when I'm releasing. I could be releasing anything. Releasing energies that don't serve my highest good. Releasing, I don't know, releasing this pain in my shoulder. Releasing. Snake skin, lizard skin, the cicadas, anything that sheds, letting go of. My needles I use for inscribing. I use them with my puppets. I've made, you know, the alchemical symbols with the thorns around my candle to help whoosh, just increase that that energy. Would not put your thorns in your pouches because they will poke through and they will hurt you. So that's what I have. I hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe. I know it's a little long. Sorry about that. It's kind of hard to get through everything that you want to get through. And but anyway, that's what I have to say. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you can use it. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. Make sure that you subscribe if you will, if you enjoyed it, and share, spread the word, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.